Alright, so this is 1-2 notes. This is just going over distributive property. So for the first one, the key vocabulary, that's written down in the keynotes that are on Schoology, so you can look at that. And then just to answer the second one, again, the answer is in Schoology on the key to the notes. It says, should the distributive property be a property of addition, multiplication, or both? And the answer for that would be both, because you use both addition and multiplication when you are distributing. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the examples here. So it says use a distributive property to rewrite each expression, then evaluate. So I'm going to start here with number 1. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 5 and I'm going to distribute it to everything inside the parentheses. You don't want to leave anybody behind. So what this means is you have 5 times 4x. So 5 times 4 is 20, and then you have your x. Okay, and the second part is 5 times, we have this negative 9 back here. 5 times negative 9 will give you negative 45. The last question you ask yourself, is there anything that I can combine? And since the first piece has an x, your last term does not, you can't do anything to combine those. They're not like terms. So that's your final answer. And again, you can always rewind this, pause it if I go too fast. Number 2, the number outside of my parentheses is a 3, so we're going to distribute the 3 to everything inside the parentheses. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times a negative 2x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Don't forget the x. The other way that you can see this written, like on a test or a quiz, you can see negative 6x plus 24. And all they did is they just flip-flopped it. So either one of these answers is acceptable. Alright, number 3, so you're distributing a 12 here to the 6 and to this negative 1/2 x. 12 times 6 is 72, and then 12 times negative 1/2 x. So half of 12 is 6, so that's going to be negative 6, and then don't forget the x. So again, you can write it this way, or you can write it as negative 6x plus 72. Alright, number 4. Okay, so we're distributing a 12 again. So we're distributing 12 to 2 and 12 to 1/2 x. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 1/2, so again, half of 12 is 6, and then don't forget the x. Okay, number 5, we're distributing a 4th. So a 4th of 12. So a lot of times kids kind of struggle with fractions. Either they want their calculator to do this. So anytime you say I need, a 4th of 12, a 1/2 of 12, a 1/3 of 12, all you have to do when they're simple fractions like that is you just have to divide your whole number by your denominator. So in this case, when I say I need a fourth of whatever, of 12, whatever that is, all you have to do is 12 divided by 4, which gives you 3. Then over here, you have a 4th of 4, so you just do 4 divided by 4 is 1, so minus t. Because remember, in front of this t, there's an invisible 1. Mathematicians don't like writing a whole lot, so we ignore that 1 and we just write it as 3 minus t. Alright, number 6. So here we have 3 times the difference of 2x and y. So we have to distribute this 3 to both things. 3 times 2 is 6, and you have your x. And then in the back you have a negative 3y. So pretty much when you have a whole number and a variable, you just put those together. So if I have 4 times z, it's just 4z. And there's nothing I can combine, so that's my final answer. Alright, number 7. Okay, so I have a 2 that I'm going to distribute to everything inside. So we're distributing this 2 3 times to everything inside. So when we distribute this, we have 2 times 3x. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, so you just bring down the x. 2 times 2 is 4, and then you have a y, so you just write 4y. Then 2 times, remember there's a little negative 1 in front of here. So 2 times that negative 1 would give me my negative 2, and then you have a z that tags along with it. Then you ask yourself, is there anything I can combine? Well, you have an x, a y, and a z. Those are all different variables, so there's nothing I can combine. This is in simplest form. All right, on number 8, so this one you're like, well, there's nothing to distribute because there's no number in front of the parentheses. Well, it's actually kind of tricky. If there's something that's behind the parentheses, you still want to go ahead and distribute it. So we're distributing a variable, and this variable is just the letter y. So anytime you multiply variables with another variable, if it's not the same, you just put them together. So this y times this x is just xy. And then you have a negative 2 times y, you just put them together, it's a negative 2y. Now, for this part, a lot of kids say, well, they both have y, so I can combine them. That's false. This first one has the variable xy, so unless you have another xy, you cannot combine these. So this is in simplest form. All right, number 9, we have a 2 that we're distributing to all of this. So we have 2. We distribute to 3a, to a negative 2b, and to a positive c. So for this first part, 2 times 3 is 6, and you have a. Middle part, 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4, and you have a b. Last part, 2 times c is just 2c. And again, your variables are a, b, c. There's none that you can combine, so this is your final answer. All right, and the last row. So there we go, number 10. So this one we have a fourth that we're distributing to 16x, 12y, and 4z, a negative 12y. Okay, so again, remember, when you see a fraction, don't get overwhelmed and say you can't do it. When you do a fraction, instead of multiplying, you're just dividing by whatever the denominator is. So in this case, 16 divided by 4 will just give me 4. So this is 4x. I have a negative. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so that's a 3y. And plus 4 divided by 4 is 1, so it's just 1z. And again, remember, you don't have to write the 1. X, Y, Z, I can't combine any of that stuff, so that's my final answer. Number 11, we're going to distribute the 3 to everything inside. So start way over here. 3 times 2 will give me 6. My middle term, I have 3 times a negative 3 will give me negative 9, and there's an x that's attached to it. And this last part, 3 times z, is just 3z. Again, I have an x, I have a z, and I have a constant. There's nothing that I can combine because none of those are like terms. So this is my final answer. All right, and then the last one, I have a negative 2 that I'm going to distribute to everything inside. So distributing this negative 2, it's going to change all of my signs. So if everything inside is positive, everything's going to become negative. If everything on the inside of my parentheses were negative, it's all going to become positive. So distributing a negative is going to change your signs. So we have a negative 2 times a positive 2 that gives me a negative 4, and then we have a y. Negative 2 times a positive 3 gives me a negative 6, then we have an x. Negative 2 times a positive 1 will give me a negative 2. Again, there's nothing I can combine, so that is my final answer. All right, and now we have some more problem examples. So this first one says, which of the following is equivalent to the expression 3m minus 7z plus 5m plus z? And we have 3 options here. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this and see what my simplified answer will be. I see I have 3 m's and I have 5 m's. So I have a total of 8 m. And then I also see that I have a negative 7z and a positive z. So the team that's winning with the most points is negative, and they would be up by 6 points, so I have a negative 6z. So this right here is my simplified form. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my options, and I'm going to see which one of those matches 8m minus 6z. Okay, so let's look. This first one, they try to trick you. All you have to do is rewrite this. This is the same thing as 8m minus 6z. All I did is I flip-flopped these two. I put the 8m in front, I put the negative 6z in back. Okay, the second one I'm going to distribute this to. So I end up getting 8m, 2 times negative 3z will give me negative 6z. And this last one I'm going to also distribute the 2, and I'm going to get 6z minus 8m. Okay, so let's go ahead and look real quick. This one more time. I can actually rewrite this as negative 8m plus 6z. So that way I have my m's in front like all my other ones. I just flip-flop those. Okay, so let's look. I need 8m minus 6z. So now we're going to go ahead and check these off. This first one is equivalent to what I have over here. So 8m minus 6z, that works. The second one, 8m minus 6z, works. This last one, negative 8m plus 6z, does not work. This one is wrong because that 8m, it's negative when it needs to be positive, and that 6z is positive when it should be negative. So my correct answer here is going to be whatever option says 1 and 2, and this says 1 only. Here's 1 and 2, that's 1 and 3, and that's 3 only. So my answer for this one will be G. Okay, we got 2 more. So number 2, write the simplified form of the expression 5m minus 3, all that times 12. So I'm going to distribute my 12. 5 times 12 will give me 60, so we have 60m. And then 12 times negative 3 is a negative 36. Alright, and then we have this last one here. This is kind of more of a bonus problem, but this is the stuff you'll see on your EOC. So if you want to get committed on your EOC, problems like this is what you need to get right to get to that level. So it says, if 2x times 3 plus 4a is equal to negative 16x plus 6x, what is the value of a? So what we're going to do first, I need my little writing tool, there we go. What we're going to do first is we are going to distribute this 2x. So we have 2x times 3, well 3 times 2 is 6, so that gives me 6x. Then we have 2 times 4, which is 8, and then we have the letters a and x, so I'm just going to leave those there for right now. Over here, I still have negative 16x plus 6x. Okay, well, I spy with my eye some variables that I can combine. And that's over here on this side. I can combine those because both those just have an x. So what that leaves me with, I still have this 6x plus 8ax. That doesn't change. But over here on this other side, I have negative 16 plus 6. So I think of this as teams. I have more negatives, so my negatives are going to win. And they're going to win by 10 points, so negative 10x. Okay, well then I see, well I have this 6x over here I can combine with this negative 10x. So I'm going to move that sucker over. I still have this 8ax. And when I combine these over here, my negative 10x and negative 6x, that's going to give me a total of negative 16x. Okay, so remember, I'm trying to solve for, which means I have to isolate this variable a. So anything that's beside it, I'm going to get rid of it right now. And to do that, that means I have to divide, because all that's multiplication, also multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 8 and x. I'm going to divide by 8 and x. 8 divided by 8 is 1. X divided by x is 1. So all I have left over is 1a. Negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. And then x divided by x, those cancel each other out. It's just 1. So a is equal to negative 2. So it's not too difficult of a problem, but it definitely will help you on your EOC get a higher score. So that is it for the 1-2 distributive notes.